Welcome, everyone. My name is Tomasz Kaczynski, and I'm a pre-sales manager at UiPath, Malaysia. Today, I will tell you how robots, robotic process automation, and automation in general will help you keep your hybrid workplace convenient and secure. Well, is hybrid workplace a thing to stay? Of course it is. We have seen research, we have seen feedback, and 80% of leaders and 75% of employees are currently embracing fully remote or hybrid workplace. It is definitely here to stay given the amount of people currently leveraging it. Of course, we also have employers who are looking for new employees, and a lot of them will definitely look for someone who works or comes from a different geography to have them on board. So yes, hybrid workplace is definitely a place to stay. And if we try to understand what is the most appealing scenario, we will see there are certain differences between generations. Well, doesn't matter if you're baby boomer, if you're Gen X or Gen Z, there is still pretty big demand for completely remote work or hybrid working model. And we need to make sure that when we're designing a remote or hybrid workplace, we're taking all the risk and all the challenges into consideration. So what are the risks that I'm talking about? Well, let's start with cybersecurity risks. Well, around 1/3 of employees seem to have picked some bad habits from their working at home, right? Letting a little too many people play around your work computer where you have all the sensitive data stored is definitely not something we want to support, we want to see frequently. When it comes to fraud, it is also a significant risk because with certain remote working, say, necessities, people tend to stretch truth and commit activities that are really close to fraudulent, like misreporting their, let's say, expenses or submitting claims that are not exactly in accordance with reality. Of course, hybrid workplace, especially remote workplace where we have no direct interaction with other human beings, poses a significant culture erosion risk. And according to McKinsey, erosion of the organization culture and social cohesion is one of the key risks related to the hybrid work model. We also have health and safety risks. People working at home, they often work too much. They have it difficult to draw the line between private life and work, and they end up stressed. They end up overworked. They end up burned out. And this is definitely something we need to take into consideration. Of course, we also have those process-related risks that require certain internal controls and business continuity plans to be reassessed and audited to ensure that all our operations and processes that are now executed in a hybrid or fully remote environment are safe and fit. So if we try to look at the major challenge, where does it originate from? We will unfortunately and very quickly learn a brutal truth. The weakest element of any organizational cybersecurity strategy is a human element. We know that. We're not so happy to think about it on daily basis, but we have heard about data leaks caused by employees who simply forgot their smartphone somewhere on a bench in the park. We have seen certain forces pressing on employees to obtain sensitive data. And so in the center of this data security and cybersecurity is a person that kind of represents a weakest link in here. But that's why it's very important to recognize the fact that artificial intelligence and automations are key components in the future of cybersecurity. So, well, how does it work? Let's see how UiPath robots can actually help you to address those risks individually. For example, if we take security risk, cybersecurity risk, UiPath robots can help you and conduct security audits. They can manage data access rights. They can perform automated application and vulnerability testing. When it comes to fraud risk, we can have robots to monitor transactions and activities. We can have robots to pre-screen your employees or rescreen them along the way. And we can have robots tirelessly cross-validate documents with data to make sure that all the sides of every transactions or information at the sides of all the transactions actually adds up. When it comes to health and safety risks, remember, overwork often affects your employees' health really negatively. So we can put a robot to work and have a robot take over most of the manual and repetitive work, your employee will definitely feel better. It won't feel like a robot itself. So we can also help to automate these repetitive and boring tasks. We can minimize need for overtime simply by implementing robots in the right places and right processes. And given some information available to the robot, we can even use it to plan employee on-site rotation to avoid some unnecessary, risky personal contacts. When it comes to process risks, well, your robots can monitor known process risks. They can minimize dependency on third-party service providers, and they can also create a variety of process dashboards and insights that will help you to monitor the situation and quickly make amendments and changes to your processes if hybrid or remote workplace environment or reality demands it. So what about culture risks? Well, if you put robots to work, you will have simply more time to create culture. And if employees have more time and culture is created by employees simply by addressing these 4 pillars or 4 main risks with robots, will automatically resolve some of the problems related to the culture itself. So let's now try to understand how this really works, because I've been talking about RPA for a while. I told you how great robots are and how many things they can do for you, but I never really explained what RPA is. And I'm going to do it now using this wonderful definition I borrowed from McKinsey's webpage. So what is RPA? RPA stands, it's short for robotic process automation. It's a type of software that mimics the activity of a human being in carrying out a task within a process. Well, first important takeaway, RPA robot is a software robot that emulates humans. If there is a button to press in order to complete a task, a robot will press the button. If there is an input field, a robot needs to interact with and populate with data, a robot will do this. So in short, robots are digital workforce that can be trained to complete a variety of processes by interacting with applications the same ways humans do. But there is a second part to this definition that states, robots can do repetitive stuff more quickly, accurately, and tirelessly than humans, freeing them to do other tasks requiring human strength, such as emotional intelligence, reasoning, judgment, and interaction with customers. And this is true. Robots are faster than us. Robots are more accurate than us. Robots never get tired. But when it comes to interaction with customer, when it comes to planning, when it comes to reasoning, when it comes to making decisions based on judgment that we had to make using incomplete or inconsistent data, robots definitely fall short. The true power of RPA-based automation is this combination of human strengths and robot strengths. While these two are put together to work, we can expect all the results that all the world is talking about. So what exactly can these software robots do? Well, they can log into any application and interact with it. They can move files and folders. They can read and write databases in order to exchange data and automate a lot faster in more robust manner. Robots never get tired, so they can endlessly scrape the data from the web, and they can connect to APIs to, again, deliver more robust and fastest automation. Robots have become really good at reading data from a variety of documents. They can read your structured, semi-structured, and unstructured documents. They can process emails. And finally, robots being machines, they can make calculations and follow business rules completely religiously. What about use cases? Well, let's talk about a few of them. First of all, too much data exposed to employee always poses security risk, especially if your employee does not require this data to complete his task. So we can have a robot to actually fetch the data employee needs, anonymize and mask information that is not required for employee, hand over data to our employee, have them complete his work, of course, using a limited, masked and anonymized data set, still sufficient for him to complete his work. And then when employee is done, he can return data back together with his feedback, with his amendments, and robots will put it back in the system after de-anonymizing it or de-masking it. Another way we can use robots to obfuscate sensitive and personally identifiable data in real life, in web applications. When employees, some systems actually that you need your employees to work with do not give you the ability to hide the data that employee is not required to see. So in this place, we can very quickly train a robot to fetch the web page, hide information that employee shouldn't see or doesn't have to see, and then expose this modified web page or web application to employee. Employee will interact it with the same way as it would be regular day. And then, of course, we will be able to reduce the risk of data leakage simply because they won't be available to the employee itself. Of course, we can have robots to help us with access rights audit and management. We can have a robot to fetch all the access rights matrices from different systems, system 1, 2, 3, and 4, combine it into an access rights report or an actionable dashboard, expose it to auditor who will review everything in a centralized manner. If auditor decides certain access rights should be revoked or should be granted, he can do it directly in the dashboard, and through this dashboard, robot will be notified and will be asked to perform these activities in the system. And if we're talking here about granting or revoking rights, all of this can be done by robots. Another more advanced use of robots and machine learning is detection of potential data leakages using pre-trained machine learning models. We can create a machine learning model that will understand the usage patterns of the employees and will keep track of what kind of information is requested by user, how much information is requested by the user, and what, let's say, time of the day information is requested by user. And based on these usage patterns, a robot can quickly determine, using machine learning models, whether this is a legit and expected data exchange between employee and the system, or we are looking at some fraudulent activity or potential data risk, the risk that can be prevented. So this is what we can do, and this is what has already been done using UiPath robots and machine learning. But if we talk about robots, what can they do for you? Well, robots will never get involved in any fraudulent activity, at least voluntarily. Robots will always follow instructions, and when asked, will always double check the data. Robots will never click buttons they weren't supposed to, and they won't follow the URLs that we told them to. Robots will never misplace any data and will never share it with an authorized party accidentally. Robots will meticulously monitor user and system activity, and at the same time, robots will do all the manual work necessary to keep your hybrid workplace safe and secure. So going back to what I said earlier, the weakest element of any organization's cybersecurity is the human element. While this is true, we can't forget about the fact that employees are our biggest asset. They make the company, they make companies successful, and they make companies what they are. Of course, employees are not perfect, and this is where AI and robots step in to keep your hybrid workplace secure. Thank you very much and have a good day.